Next, we will examine some eye-catching effects that can be achieved through our app's design by adding movement, sliding, zooming, or transparencies, which greatly enhance the user's experience. The parallax effect is a visual effect frequently used in smart device applications and web pages. It consists in sliding an object over another object behind it, both at different speeds, giving an impression of depth. In GeneXus, the parallax effect is achieved by sliding a control with an ascending scroll over another control behind it, which also moves in the same direction but at a different speed. The drag with zoom effect consists in expanding a control, for example an image, on the background when the user drags down or pulls down the control above it. Since the control on top leaves an empty space when slid down, the image at the back can be expanded with a zoom, taking this place. To achieve these effects, we use the scroll attachment property and combine the scroll factor and zoom factor properties of the tables and canvas. The scroll factor property comes with a decimal value that indicates the scroll speed that needs to be applied for the effect to be noticeable. Zoom factor is a decimal value that indicates how much zoom in or out has to be applied to the control when the user scrolls over any control. The scroll attachment property stores the name of the control, or of several controls, that will cause the effect, when any of these controls is moved by scrolling. This effect is only supported in iOS 7 or higher. When dragged or pulled down, the image can be stretched instead of expanded, as we've seen before. This is achieved by using the same values of the scroll factor and zoom factor properties for zooming in the image. But for the image to be stretched instead of expanded, we change the value of its scale type property to fill. The movement effect is achieved by rotating the device over its horizontal or vertical axis, which causes a movement in the control, making it move as if it wasn't affixed to the device. If the image is horizontal, the image slides to the right or to the left in the opposite direction of the movement, giving an impression of depth. If the movement is vertical, the image slides up or down. In addition, both movements can be combined, changing the device's position in both directions at the same time. To achieve the movement effect, the properties max horizontal offset and max vertical offset are used. The max horizontal offset property indicates the maximum offset that the control can reach when the user tilts the device horizontally to the right or to the left. It's interpreted as a movement factor. The greater the value, the greater the movement. Likewise, the max vertical offset property indicates the maximum offset of the control when the user tilts the device back or forth. A negative value in these properties indicates that the control moves in the opposite direction of the physical device's movement. A zero value implies that there is no effect, and a positive value will make the movement in the same direction as the device. This effect can be applied to image controls, groups, tables, canvas, and calendars. It's only supported in iOS 7 or higher. This effect consists in making the table containing the screen controls take the entire space available on the device screen, including that of the navigation bar and the status bar. When the table is scrolled upwards, instead of disappearing, these elements become transparent, giving the illusion that they're invisible without actually becoming invisible. This effect is achieved by setting the property Enable Header Row pattern to true, and is applied to the main table of smart device panels and work with for smart devices. Users will be able to drag down the list that shows a grid, and this will cause the server to automatically look for new data available to display. If new data is found, it'll be synchronized and displayed in the grid, with no need to fully refresh the panel containing the grid. This is achieved by setting the grid's pull to refresh property to true. When the user runs the action, the screen will show a small animated circle that represents the process of refreshing the data. Here we've seen some innovative and useful effects for our apps to offer an enhanced user experience. We invite you to visit our wiki to learn more about these effects.